Can a desperate franchise truly find salvation in a quarterback who was benched with playoffs on the line? The New York Jets are walking a razor's edge between hope and desperation, and their latest reported interest in Atlanta Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins might just be the most Jets move imaginable. After unceremoniously showing Aaron Rodgers the door and placing their Super Bowl aspirations in the hands of Justin Fields, whispers are already circulating about a potential midseason pivot that could reshape their entire 2025 campaign. Picture this scenario. It's November 2025, the trade deadline is looming, and the Jets find themselves staring at another season of unfulfilled promises. Justin Fields, despite his athletic gifts, hasn't quite seized the moment that management hoped for. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins sits as the most expensive backup quarterback in NFL history, watching rookie Michael Penix Jr. command the huddle that was supposed to be his domain. Bleacher Report's Brad Gagnon has proposed what might be the most intriguing quarterback carousel move of the year, shipping Cousins to the Big Apple in exchange for draft capital and salary relief. On paper, it sounds almost too convenient. The Jets have the cap space, the desperation, and even the personnel connections through senior football advisor Rick Spielman, who worked closely with Cousins during their Minnesota Vikings days. The $180 million question mark Kirk Cousins isn't just any available quarterback. He's a walking contradiction wrapped in a 4-year, $180 million contract. This is the same player who threw for over 4,000 yards in 6 of his last 7 seasons, yet managed to post a career-worst 18 touchdown passes against 16 interceptions in 2024. The same quarterback who helped Minnesota reach the playoffs multiple times, but couldn't prevent Atlanta from losing faith in him with a division title still within reach. The Falcons' decision to bench Cousins with 3 games remaining wasn't just about development. It was a damning indictment of his inability to elevate a team when it mattered most. Atlanta was 7-7 and very much alive in the NFC South race when they made the switch to Penix. That's not the kind of move you make unless you've completely lost confidence in your veteran leader. Yet here's the twist that makes this Jets connection so compelling. Sometimes, a change of scenery can resurrect a career that seemed destined for mediocrity. Fields' tightrope walk, meanwhile, Justin Fields enters 2025 carrying the weight of an entire franchise's expectations on his shoulders. His 4-2 record as a starter in Pittsburgh last season showed glimpses of the potential that made him a first-round pick, but his overall 14-30 career record as a starter tells a different story entirely. Fields has never thrown for more than 2,600 yards or 20 touchdowns in a single season, numbers that would have been considered pedestrian even in the 1990s. For a quarterback entering his 5th NFL season, these aren't growing pains anymore. They're concerning patterns that suggest fundamental limitations. The Jets' decision to build around Fields represents one of the boldest gambles in recent NFL history. They're betting that a quarterback who struggled to consistently move the ball in Chicago and served as a backup in Pittsburgh can suddenly transform into the franchise savior that has eluded New York for over a decade. The desperation factor, here's what makes the Cousins scenario so plausible. The Jets have made desperation their calling card. This is the same organization that traded significant assets for Aaron Rodgers, only to watch him suffer a season-ending injury 4 plays into the season. The same franchise that has cycled through quarterbacks like a revolving door, always believing the next one will be different. If Fields struggles early in the season, and given his track record, that's a legitimate possibility. The Jets' front office will face immense pressure to make a move. The fan base won't tolerate another year of offensive futility, especially with a defense that's built to win now. Cousins, despite his flaws, represents something the Jets haven't had in years: proven productivity. His worst season statistically would still rank among the better quarterback performances in recent Jets history. Sometimes, that's all a desperate franchise needs to hear. The domino effect, the timing of this potential move, could create a perfect storm of circumstances. If Penix establishes himself as Atlanta's clear-cut starter by midseason, the Falcons would have no choice but to move Cousins' massive contract. They can't afford to pay backup quarterback money to a player making starter wages, especially when that money could be allocated to other roster needs. For the Jets, acquiring Cousins wouldn't just be about improving their quarterback position. It would be about salvaging a season that many believe could determine the future of the coaching staff and front office. The pressure to win now has never been greater in New York, and that desperation could lead to moves that seem illogical on the surface but make perfect sense in context. The risk-reward calculation trading for Cousins would represent everything right and wrong with modern NFL decision-making. On one hand, you're acquiring a quarterback with a proven track record of NFL success, someone who understands how to operate in high-pressure situations and has the experience to lead a veteran roster. On the other hand, you're doubling down on mediocrity, taking on a massive contract for a player who is deemed expendable by his current team during a playoff race. You're also potentially stunting the development of Fields, who deserves a full season to prove whether he can be the answer. But here's the reality: the Jets aren't built for patience. They have a defensive core that's entering its prime, skill position players who can contribute immediately, and a fan base that's tired of moral victories. Sometimes, the safe move is the wrong move, especially when your franchise has been defined by playing it safe for the better part of 2 decades. The verdict whether this trade proposal becomes reality depends on factors beyond anyone's control. Injuries, early season performance, and the unpredictable nature of NFL roster construction. But the mere fact that it's being discussed seriously tells us everything we need to know about where both franchises currently stand. The Jets are one quarterback away from legitimate contention, while simultaneously being one quarterback away from another lost season. Kirk Cousins might not be the perfect solution, but in a league where perfect solutions rarely exist, he could be exactly what New York needs to finally break their championship drought. What do you think? Are the Jets crazy enough to make this move work, or would trading for Cousins be just another example of the franchise's inability to build for the long term? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if you think Fields deserves a full season to prove himself, or if the Jets should be exploring every possible upgrade at the position. And if this analysis got you thinking about the wild possibilities ahead of the 2025 season, make sure to hit that like button. Your support keeps these deep dives coming.